Hi everyone, today we will be doing a listening activity for Unit 2. In this lesson, you will hear someone talking about Robin Hood. If you have never heard, Robin Hood is a popular character from the legends of Robin Hood. He is believed to be a hero as he steals from the rich to help the poor people. Well, in England, they have Robin Hood, King Arthur, and Sherlock Holmes. While in Malaysia, we have stories like Putri Gunung Ledang, Hang Tuah, Hang Jebat, Sang Kancil, and a lot more. By the end of the lesson today, pupils will be able to 1. Show understanding of details in the legend of Robin Hood by circling the correct words in Activity 1, and 2. Show understanding of specific information and details in the legend of Robin Hood by filling in the blanks in Activity 3 while listening using guided questions given in Activity 2.
Unit 2. Listening. Exercise 1.
Robin Hood was a legendary character from medieval England. Legend has it that he lived in Sherwood Forest, near Nottingham, with a group of friends, finding food and shelter there and stealing from rich travellers who passed by. Because of this, he and his team of men were known as outlaws, that is, criminals who were wanted by the authorities. The man in charge of the area at the time was the Sheriff of Nottingham, and Robin Hood and the Sheriff were famous enemies. However, although Robin Hood and his men were criminals, they have always been considered the heroes of the people, because the legend says that they used to steal money from the rich and give it to the poor.
Now let's read these sentences. Can you remember any of these details? Number 1. According to the legend, Robin Hood lived in Sherwood Forest or Nottingham Forest. Number 2. Robin Hood lived in the forest with his family or friends. Number 3. An outlaw is a criminal who is wanted by or working with the authorities. Number 4. Robin Hood and the Sheriff of Nottingham were well known to be friends or enemies. And number 5. The legend says that Robin Hood used to steal from the rich or the poor. You are going to hear the first part of the recording again. You may check your answers as you listen to the recording.
Unit 2. Listening. Exercise 1.
Robin Hood was a legendary character from medieval England. Legend has it that he lived in Sherwood Forest, near Nottingham, with a group of friends, finding food and shelter there and stealing from rich travellers who passed by. Because of this, he and his team of men were known as outlaws, that is, criminals who were wanted by the authorities. The man in charge of the area at the time was the Sheriff of Nottingham, and Robin Hood and the Sheriff were famous enemies. However, although Robin Hood and his men were criminals, they have always been considered the heroes of the people, because the legend says that they used to steal money from the rich and give it to the poor.
Alright, the most important tip for a listening activity is that you have to make sure you analyze the task first by going through all the questions. By doing this, you can actually guess or predict what kind of information is missing. This will then help you to look out for specific details or information as you listen to the recording. Let's look at question 1 from Activity 3. The legend says that Robin Hood would steal money from wealthy passing through Sherwood Forest. So, because wealthy is an adjective, you can somehow guess that the blank should be filled with a noun. Could it be men, people, businessman? Now let's look at number 3. The legend of Robin Hood has interested people for over So what word is possible after the word over? you might need a word related to a period of time or a number of years. So could it be over 100 years, over 2 weeks, over 3 months? Question number 4. Before modern communications, people used to pass down gap using songs and poems. So when you talk about something that can be passed down, what could it be? Things that can be passed down include stories, facts, history, memories, beliefs, or even things. So you can guess that the answer can be any of those. Question number 5. King Edward II was King of England from 1284 to... You can assume that the answer has to be a year. So what year could it be? 1300, 1400, 1500? So as you listen to the recording, be alert with any year mentioned in the audio. Now read the rest of the questions and try to guess or predict what kind of information is missing. Next, we will be doing the same activity from Activity 3, where you will be listening to the recording again. Prepare a pen and a piece of paper to write down your answers from 1 to 8 with a word or short phrase as you listen to the audio. You may then check your answers in the description box below.
Exercise 3.
Robin Hood was a legendary character from medieval England. Legend has it that he lived in Sherwood Forest, near Nottingham, with a group of friends, finding food and shelter there and stealing from rich travellers who passed by. Because of this, he and his team of men were known as outlaws, that is, criminals who were wanted by the authorities. The man in charge of the area at the time was the Sheriff of Nottingham, and Robin Hood and the Sheriff were famous enemies. However, although Robin Hood and his men were criminals, they have always been considered the heroes of the people, because the legend says that they used to steal money from the rich and give it to the poor. People have been fascinated by the legend of Robin Hood for over 700 years. However, nobody knows for sure whether Robin Hood was a real person or a myth, and if he was a real person, then who was he? Most of the evidence we have comes from songs and poems that were written from around the year 1400 onwards. In the days before television, radio, and even books, news and stories would be passed down in this way, and a character called Robin Hood was certainly very well known as a famous outlaw at that time. Another source is the official records of the period, one of which says that a man called Robert Hood was working as a servant for King Edward II, who ruled from 1284 to 1327. One problem that historians have, however, is that Robin or Robert and Hood were very common names in medieval times, so it's difficult to prove whether any of these men was the Robin Hood of the legend. Although Sherwood Forest is generally assumed to be where Robin lived, several early poems also indicate that an outlaw of the same name lived in South Yorkshire, which is a little way north of Nottingham. As the two areas are quite close, and Robin may have moved around to escape the authorities, it's quite possible that he lived in both areas. We don't even know exactly when he lived. We have the official record connecting a Robert Hood with King Edward II, but later theories connect him to a different king, King John, who ruled a whole century earlier. Despite the confusion, Robin Hood and the other characters in the legend have remained popular until today, and they attract thousands of tourists to Nottingham and Sherwood Forest every year. Many films and TV series have been made about the outlaw who fought for the common people and against the rich rulers of the time. There is even an organization in modern-day New York City called Robin Hood, which continues Robin's mission by giving financial support to the poor. Although we may never solve the mystery of who Robin Hood really was, his legend lives on.
So that's the end of today's lesson. Make sure you have completed all the tasks assigned before you leave and check your answers from the description box below. See you next time.